Hello and welcome to the Google Apps Education Edition Overview webinar. Today we are going to be talking about an overview of cloud computing, Google Apps Education Edition product details, the advantages of Google Apps, followed by a demonstration of the Google Apps Education Edition product. One major challenge that we found for your users is that everything has shifted over the past few years from a focus of working as an individual to working in teams and groups. We've found that this is more true in education than anywhere else. Group projects and presentations for classes, we see collaboration on curriculum for teachers, working groups with the administration, joint research projects with faculty from other schools, and what we've noticed is that our technology has really not kept pace with our users' needs. So I want to walk you through a simple example of a group of students working on a project together as a team. In this example, I'm working on a paper with 4 of my classmates. You can see here that I've come up with the first version of my document. I send it out to 4 of my peers who I'm working on this project with, and I'm asking to get revisions back from them. I get revisions back from John, Bob, and Sally, and take a look at those changes to reconcile them to come up with revision 2.0. Again, I want feedback from my group, so I send out revision 2.0 to get changes that need to be made for our final product. I hear back from my 3 classmates again, but as you may notice, I have one friend, Rachel, who's a little bit slower than the rest of my group, and I get a revision back from her much later in the process. At this point, I really don't know what to do with the revision Rachel has sent back. I like to call this collaborating like it's 1999. A simple paper that I'm trying to work on with 4 of my classmates has become a really big challenge for me with the software and products I'm using today. And I've just created quite a mess in trying to work on a document with 4 of my friends. So that's from a user's perspective. We then take a look at the IT perspective of running these sorts of systems. Systems are complex, expensive, hard to deploy and manage. Software is expensive, hard to install, and even harder to maintain. And we find that deployments take a lot of time and planning and can be disruptive to users. And once you get all of this up and running, you end up in a cycle of break, patch, and repeat. So this may look familiar to a lot of you. And you end up constantly trying to make sure that nothing goes wrong with the environment that you are providing your users. And what ends up happening is a lot of the money that you are spending ends up going down the drain. And what we end up seeing is this becomes dead money. What we found in research that was done by Gartner a few years back was that on average, $8 out of $10 in IT do not contribute to change or growth. And this is really not acceptable to our partners, and we found that there really has to be a better way of doing this. There is a better way to manage this, and we think the solution is to replace that complex environment with a cloud computing solution hosted by a provider like Google. We provide applications for you hosted out of our data centers and accessible to your users through the internet. And this is accessible from any internet-enabled device. So be it a PC, Mac, mobile phone, cluster computers, computer in the room down the hall, or a PC at home during winter break at your mom and dad's house. You are able to access this information from anywhere. Now I want to specifically talk about what is included in Google Apps Education Edition. Google Apps Education Edition is a suite of collaboration and communication applications. Specifically included in Google Apps Education Edition, from a collaboration standpoint, is Google Docs, which includes documents for word processing, spreadsheets, and presentations, Google Sites, which allows you to create personal, team, or institutional websites, much like a wiki, and Google Video for Education, which allows you to have secure video sharing within your domain. From a communication perspective, Google Apps includes email, Google Talk, and Google Calendaring. We have several versions of Google Apps available to anyone. We have a free version available to consumers, as well as a business version that is available for paid customers. But we wanted to make a special offer to educational institutions. We understand that schools aren't the same as small businesses or families, and that you have some real enterprise class needs, and we wanted to make a product that would fulfill them. So our Education Edition offer includes, first of all, that it is free for all of your users. Secondly, we have no advertising for faculty, staff, and students, and this is across all of the applications that I previously mentioned. We give you 7.3 gigabytes of mail quota per user, and this is an amount that continues to grow, and all of your users will remain at your domain, such as @school.edu. We provide your administrators with 24/7 technical support via email and phone for critical issues, as well as the advanced integration capabilities, which allow you to integrate with systems that you already may have on your campus. Many of our customers ask us about data ownership, and I wanted to point out a few specific things about what happens when Google hosts your emails. Google does not own your data when you're using Google Apps Education Edition. We do not share your data. We keep your data as long as you want. We remove it when you ask, and we enable you to take your data elsewhere. So the main thing I want to point out is that as a Google Apps Education Edition customer, you retain ownership of your data, and you can choose to do with it what you would like. Additionally, we offer with Google Apps Education Edition some additional security and compliance packages. We understand that in addition to data ownership, schools have concerns about security and compliance issues, specifically around filtering of messages when it comes to K-12 schools and archiving for faculty and staff. We offer additional services that are available at a 66% discount to educational institutions through our Google Message Security and Compliance product. Some of these features include advanced administration of message filtering, ability to encrypt messages over the wire using advanced message security, unlimited storage for archiving of emails for e-discovery and litigation holds for up to 10 years, and additionally, many other configurable options including auditing, reports, and restoring emails from archives. The last thing I want to talk about before going into the actual demo is the advantages we see that you will get from using Google Apps Education Edition. The first is that you can leverage our infrastructure. In Google's case, this means massive data centers built for scalability, security, and efficiency. We set out to build an environment to run Google.com. Many people ask, how reliable is this environment? What we see is that many people, to test their internet connection, go to Google.com to see if the internet's working. I think that's a pretty good testament to how reliable Google.com and Google Apps Education Edition is. To do this and make this reliability, we built a custom hardware environment, a custom operating system based on Linux, a customer file system, and a customer application environment. And when you leverage our services, this becomes your IT environment. The second advantage we see to using Google Apps is collaboration. If you take our earlier example, the main problem was that everyone had a different copy of the document. But when you move your data into the cloud, it really enables you to have a new kind of real-time collaboration. With that earlier document example, everyone had a different copy. In the cloud, there really is only one version, the current version. Sure, we can keep copies of all the old versions to track changes, but when you're working in the cloud, everyone's on the same page, collaborating in real time. No one has to think about what version was the latest or if they have the most recent edits. The next advantage that we see to using Google Apps is the concept of upgrades and updates. When you're using Google Apps Education Edition, you're able to leverage the innovation that happens right here at Google. We continue to constantly innovate, and you do not have to wait on a new version of software to be released. You automatically have the latest and greatest. This is a snapshot of a 5-month period and just an example of a few features we launched. We launched over 300 features last year, and you have access to the thousands of engineers working on Google Apps regularly. So when you're using Google Apps Education Edition, you are constantly getting the latest and greatest features and functionalities that we provide to both consumers, our paid customers, and our Education Edition users. The last advantage that I want to talk about when using Google Apps Education Edition is that we consider our services as a platform, and this opens it up to a lot of APIs. Some of these are for management, such as account management, single sign-on, mail migration, mail routing. We also have APIs for our applications, calendar, docs, sites, talk, really anything that we can provide and allow you to build upon our platform we see as a large advantage. So as you can see here, we have literally thousands of schools in over 100 countries using Google Apps Education Edition. These are just a few for you to take a look at. And you are not the only one looking to do this. These schools have more than 1 million users who are actively using our services. We have big schools and small schools, public schools and private schools, and we'd certainly love to add your name to this list. So instead of just talking about the advantages and the features of Google Apps Education Edition, we want to let the product actually speak for itself. We're going to now go into a live demo of Google Apps Education Edition.
In this demo, I'm going to pretend to be a student named Jeff. I've logged into Gmail provided by my school called International University, which has the domain internationalwildcats.org. My school signed up for Google Apps with the domain internationalwildcats.org, and hence my email address is jeff@internationalwildcats.org and not jeff@gmail.com. My school administrators have customized the Gmail interface to include our school's logo. This is true of all services in Google Apps, by the way. One of the really powerful features of Gmail is the email search. This really changes the way you think about managing email. You can use search as a navigational tool rather than trying to find your emails in folders. Here, I can simply type a keyword and then click on Search Mail, and all the emails with the word meeting show up in there. We have even improved how you organize emails using the concept of labels. Gmail improved on the concept of folders, where you could only have one email in one folder. By introducing a new concept called labels, which allows you to tag one email with multiple labels, making organizing your inbox very easy. One of the nice features of Gmail that is very different from other email systems is threaded conversations. In threaded conversations, all emails related to the same subject are grouped together as one line item, and if you go into this conversation, you're very easily able to make out the context of the email conversation. That is, who initiated the conversation, who replied, and what happened. We have also integrated our instant messaging tool directly into the Gmail interface, such that you don't have to download a separate client. This integration also allows you to take advantage of online presence, which tells you when another user is available for instant messaging. The best thing about all the chats you have in Gmail is that your chats are saved, just like emails, in a chat folder, and hence the chat information is never lost, and you can tag and search for your chat just like you would with your email. The coolest thing about Google Talk is that we have incorporated video in it as well, such that you can have video chats with your fellow students or teachers. Here, I'm going to try to have a video chat with Amanda. I just dialed into Amanda. Oh, there she is. Say hi to Amanda, everyone. And that's how video chat is done. Also, with 7.3 gigabytes of email space, you won't need to delete email. You can simply use the archive option, which removes email from the inbox. But the email is still searchable for later. What's good about using Gmail is that you can not only access Gmail from your browser, but you can also access Gmail from any offline client you want, because Gmail supports POP, IMAP, and SMTP. You can also very easily access Gmail from any Java-enabled phone device, Blackberries, iPhones, Android phones, and phones that support ActiveSync, pretty much covering all mobile phones out there. Now let's take a look at Google Calendar. Just like Gmail, you have the ability to have your own logo on the interface as well as search capability. Google Calendars allows a user to have multiple personal calendars. Imagine a student having his work and school calendar separately color-coded to easily distinguish which events belong to which calendar. This ability to create multiple calendars can be used by faculty and staff to create class or course calendars as well. Even the school's academic calendar. And let's say if you're a president of some student organization, you can even create a calendar for the events of your club. Not only can you have multiple personal calendars, you can even subscribe to calendars that other people have created. You can subscribe to your friend's calendar, to your school's academic calendar, or even to calendars created by teachers, faculty, staff for particular courses. You can have events from all of these calendars appear on the main calendar space by toggling which events you want to see. Google Calendar has the ability to display events from all of the calendars overlaid on top of each other to give you a single view into your day, week, or month. Now let's look at how to create an event. Let's say we want to set up a project meeting. I can click on this empty space here, go into Edit Event Detail, and then fill out a brief description about this meeting. I can choose if I want to make it a recurring event. Maybe I can make it a weekly meeting. I can invite other people to this event simply by putting in their email addresses. One unique feature of Google Calendars is resource scheduling. If I click on this link to check guest and resource availability, I can see this pop-up where I now have the ability to invite a resource to an event. A resource is anything like a conference room, projector, or any other thing that is shared amongst all the domain or school users. Another nice feature here is that if I have many people invited and I want to find the best and earliest available time for everyone, I can simply click on this link called Find Next Available Time. I can also choose to make this event private, such that only people invited to this event can see the details of this event. For all other people, the calendar will show up as a free busy calendar. There are multiple options for reminders as well. I can have a pop-up reminder, an email reminder for all the attendees, and even SMS if the users have configured their calendar's notification. Not only can you set up privacy settings and sharing for one particular event, you can choose such settings for an entire calendar if you want. For example, you can delegate the handling and managing of a calendar to a group of people, or even a person who can have read or write privileges on a particular calendar. You can do this by going into the Share this calendar tab under your calendar settings. You can also make changes to the default notification by going to the Notifications tab under your calendar's settings, and change and configure the pop-up reminders and email reminders default times if you want. Now let's take a look at Google Docs. You can really appreciate the collaborative nature of Google Apps in this tool. What you're seeing on your screens is the Google Docs folder, which shows you all the documents, spreadsheets, word processing, forms, and presentations that you either own or are shared on. I will explain shortly what being shared on a document means. These tools are very similar to tools like Word or Excel that you are already familiar with, except that they are available online and you can actually work in them in a collaborative fashion. One thing about Google Docs is that you don't have to start from scratch within Google Docs. You can always upload an existing Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OpenOffice, PDF, text, or even Microsoft 2007 documents. And then after you are done working with these documents, you can even export them out as the same format, simply by checking a document and saving it as one of those formats. Let's take a look at a word processing document. As you can see, it has all the features that you would expect in a word processing program. Everything from fonts to layouts, bullets, tables. The biggest difference in this program is this blue drop-down button on the top right. If you click on it, it allows you to share this document with other people simply by entering in their email addresses. Once a document is shared with other people, if any of them logs in while you're logged in as well, you would actually be able to see the changes being done by other people on the document in real time without even having to refresh the document. That's because everyone is working on one live document and not on copies of a document. There you can see that Amanda just made some changes, and I was able to view it pretty much in real time. There is no check-in or check-out concept. Google Docs allows everyone to get on the same page at the same time. Of course, this brings up the question of how do you manage to control editing of a document in such a shared environment? The answer lies in the version control system available in Google Docs. If I go into revision history, I am able to quickly tell who edited this document and when, because I have a store of all the older versions of this document. I can even compare two different versions of a document if I want to. If I compare these two different versions, you can see how I can easily tell, based on the color coding, about who made the changes, what they added, and what they deleted. I can even revert to an earlier version of this document if I wanted to. The same concept of real-time collaboration is available not only in Google Docs word processing, but also in spreadsheets and presentations, making this feature a transformational change in the way your users will look at these productivity tools. One very different kind of tool that is available in Google Docs is Forms. Think of Forms as a survey tool that is linked with the Google spreadsheet. Let me show you what a form is. I will first open a Google spreadsheet. Again, you can see that this looks like any other spreadsheet program you're aware of, with the difference, of course, of the share options. Another thing that is different is the Form menu button. If I go in there, I can click on Edit Form and I'm taken to a form wizard, which allows me to easily create a form or create survey questions. This form is already built. However, you can see how easily you can create different kinds of questions and then simply email them to your friends or a group of people by entering in their email addresses. The user eventually gets to see the live form. This is what the live form looks like. If they are to enter information in this live form, that data would show up in real time in the Google spreadsheet which is attached to this form, allowing you to easily capture data from users directly into a spreadsheet. There, you can see that we had just entered that information. And I believe Amanda is shared on this document as well. And if she enters something, there, even that got captured into the spreadsheet. You can then analyze this data on your own. By the way, Google Forms does some basic analysis for you and gives you the data entered by different people in a summary chart form. This is an example of the kind of innovation that is possible when you leverage the power of the internet. With that, let me talk about another innovative product we have introduced called Google Sites. You can think of Google Sites as many different kinds of tools and services blended into one. You can think of it as a wiki application, a website creation tool, or even as a SharePoint service. This view shows you all the sites that you own or are shared on as a collaborator, very much like Google Docs. Google Sites allows collaboration amongst people, and you will see that example soon. Let me show you an example site to make it easier for you to visualize what I'm talking about. As you can see on this ski club site, Google Sites allows you to easily embed different kinds of elements on a page. Everything from pictures, video, maps, gadgets, documents, and even forms that we just talked about. Google Sites is very easy to use, and you don't need to know HTML or any complicated wiki language either. It has a what you see is what you get or a WYSIWYG editor, just like any other word processing application. Google Sites gives you some functionality by default, like the layout, themes, search option, and navigation bar, along with the sitemap. It is all very configurable. You can create different types of pages, everything from a simple web page to an announcements kind of a page where you post articles just like a blog. It even has a list type of a page which allows you to list out different things, and one of the most useful ones is the file cabinet, which allows you to upload documents and attach them with your site. You can upload any type of document that you want. Another nice thing about Google Sites are the sharing options, which allow you to share the site creation process with multiple collaborators just like Google Doc. In this sense, Sites acts very much like a wiki application, where a group of people can constantly be updating and revising a published site. You can also configure a site to be viewed by a restricted group of people, or make it more open by sharing with your whole domain. Some organizations are using Google Sites as their intranet because of this feature. You can also choose to make a site public. Imagine allowing a student to create a site where he can upload his resume and share with the world, very much like an e-portfolio. The sharing options reside under the site settings, where you have other settings to make changes to the site layout, colors and fonts and themes, view recent activity, and modify other general settings. Another use of Google Sites could be for student organizations to easily create a site for their club. Imagine a faculty member creating a site for his or her class where he shares the site with only students in his course and is able to upload syllabus, lecture notes, and other material to the site, and only allow his students to collaborate on this site. There are multiple different ways you can use Google Sites. We plan to continue to make more enhancements to this tool to make it even more useful. Finally, I wanted to shortly talk about Google Video, our latest addition to the Google Apps Education Edition family. Think of Google Video as a video sharing site, very similar to YouTube. The only difference is that you can only share videos within a domain and not publicly like you would with YouTube. We are currently offering 10 gigabytes of space to Education Edition domains. You can have up to 100 users as uploaders of videos, while allowing the rest of your users to view these videos. Each video can be up to a maximum of 1 gigabyte. This brings us to the end of this demo. I hope it gave you a chance to understand how Google Apps can be used on your campus.